we are extremely happy to have the Waldhaus involved. Besides the Robbi Museum, which we have been doing projects in Sils already, but the Waldhaus is a cultural institution of the Engadine, and always was very close to writers, to musicians, to artists, and to the creative world. So we are very happy to be here, and thanks to the family Dietrich that they are becoming a partner of us with this project with Rune's work, which we are also very proud of. So that's all I want to say, and I hope you enjoy the Art Masters. There are many, many things to see. We have great, great shows all over the Engadine, and that's all I want to say. Thank you.
So we are very happy to be able to do this talk here in the Waldhaus. Thanks again, as so many times before, to Felix Dietrich and the Hotel Waldhaus that we can be here. I would like to start, I would like to present the two artists. It's Jungjin Lee from Korea and America, from New York and Seoul, and it's Rune Guneriussen. Is that quite okay?
Perfect.
From Norway. So I will start with Jungjin Lee. Jungjin Lee, she is born in Korea. She studied ceramics in the beginning, and I think she also knows very much about calligraphy. And in 1988, she moved to New York. She stayed there for a few years. She graduated and got a Master of Photography at the New York University. Then she went back again to Korea for 14 years. Then she came back again to New York. So she's a traveler between the worlds, I can say. And Rune Guneriussen, he's born in Norway. And he has a BA in photography from the Surrey Institute of Art and Design. And he lives and works in Norway and is also exposed in many other European countries. Jungjin Lee's work, if you're interested, is represented in many private and public collections. Some of her works are part of the collection of the Whitney Museum in New York and the Metropolitan Museum in New York, who has, I think, 9 works from the Desert series, and also the Fnac collection in Paris, for example. Rune Guneriussen as well is represented in, I saw already a long line of private and public collections, mainly in Europe, in Norway, Germany, France. So that's a little bit what I would like to say in the beginning. Just 2 sentences about myself. My name is Barbara Liebster. I have a master in literature and history of art from the University of Zurich, and I work as a director, mainly in theater and radio, and as an author as well. And I'm a teacher in the field of scenography at the University of the Arts in Zurich. So I'm very happy that we can make this talk together. But we have a serious problem. We have really a serious problem because I'm sitting here in the middle of 2 artists who do not want to talk about photography at all. In this matter, I would like to quote Rune in the beginning from an interview I saw in the internet, where he says that there are no words to explain his work at all, and that it's a visual memory. It's not in the words at all. And in the case of Jungjin Lee, I would like to quote Eugenia Perry, who wrote a very interesting essay on Jungjin. Because Jungjin Lee, she also worked as an assistant to Robert Frank, very famous photographer with Swiss roots, American photographer with Swiss roots, very known, very famous, and she says that for her what was very important to be an assistant to him. But Eugenia Perry, in her essay on Jungjin Lee, says that all that Jungjin Lee knows she already knew before she met Robert Frank. It's a very, very provocative statement, and I would just like to quote some lines of that before I go to the first question. Some people credit Jungjin's strength and originality as a photographic composer to the influence of photographer Robert Frank, whom she assisted in New York. What could Frank, a Swiss-born formalist and detached street observer of American social ritual, have taught her? There aren't no more dissimilar temperaments, except that Robert Frank and Jungjin Lee would agree that the less said and written about photography, the better. So I was thinking, what could I do with these two? And then I thought we will not talk about photography, but we will talk about all that's behind it and that's around it and about the working process, etc. So my first question is about nature. Both of you are very attracted by landscape, by nature. What does nature mean to you? Why do you travel so far into deserts, into natural spaces to make your photographs?
Yes, it's a still question to me why I go so far to look for, to see my reflection. I always seek myself like reflecting to nature or object, and I'm I don't know. It's we are. I think part of nature, and I feel very clear when I'm in nature. I see myself when I'm not very familiar. I mean, one side I live always in the big city like Seoul or New York, and I go always far away to find myself. So it's just mysterious to me. So. My picture is not about the nature, it's about me and it's about the people.
Yeah. And you, Rune?
Yeah.
You also you are always seeking for lonely places, spaces without people.
Yeah.
Why?
I wanna, when I do the work, I basically wanna isolate myself into a certain given space. So when I make a piece, it's something that can take me everything from a few days to a couple of weeks, and that means that you are staying at the exact same space, limited space, and you kind of really go into the depth of that space. And I think many of you, we are here at the Waldhaus, we are in this area in Sils, and I think you will understand this of going into nature and finding a space that gives you more understanding somehow. And I think that's also with Jungjin, that you find something within you. But this part of nature is for me as a Norwegian, and I think there is the same thing for the many of the Swiss. I grew up in nature. I've been seeking nature since since I could walk, basically. And I strive to do that the whole life, because I find the true knowledge of the world and us, I find more in nature than I find in the urban areas, for instance. Knowledge comes in many ways, and for me that's more in balance with nature to find it, I think. Yeah.
Is nature for you like, do you see it like a stage for your installation, or how would you describe what it is? I mean, we can look at the photographs of the installations.
Yeah, this finding the location is basically about finding rhythm, finding the composition, but also finding whether nature really implies in the work. So when I find a good location, it's a location that really directs me in how I'm going to place my work there, because I don't want to place the work there. This depends, but I want the nature to kind of tell me, you know, what can you do here, you know. And I'm standing and looking at space. I see the trees, I see the shapes of the landscape, I see the vegetation, and from there on, you know, you start thinking which one of my ideas, concepts will actually work here. Where can I actually work together with nature and create something that that works also for the audience like you, and especially then for me. Yeah.
You also said somewhere that you need nature as an inspiration.
Oh yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah.
that it's like a source of inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
And that's the part of the both the landscape and the details, the way nature grows, the way the nature develops. If you look at evolution, how it has developed, and to kind of take one step back and look at this and see how can I somehow mimic nature, you know, but at the same time say something about where we are today. Yeah.
Mm. But for you it's different, isn't it? For you it's like, could you agree to that landscape is more like an exploration of the mind, or like a mirror of oneself, or how would you describe this relation?
What I answered for the first question, in the nature, I can become myself much more, and if I'm in the nature with the camera, is very different from when I'm in the nature without camera, and the camera for me is a very good tool to reflect myself in the nature, and also to make a dream, something to reach me to somewhere. So yeah, as you said, nature can be my stage, and then I dance in the stage, and then I just record what I want to express.
Mm-hmm. One of your series is called Wind, and wind is in a certain way like the breath of nature, or within nature. In one of the one of the texts, the text I think by it's also Eugenia Perry. You talk about also the echo, this echo space between like you and the space where you're in, like in the for example the natural space.
Yeah.
Is breath important in that?
Breath is always important. And wind is you could feel, but you cannot see. My photograph is I don't try to show what's there. I try to make you feel what's there. So it's like a wind. You could feel the wind, but you don't really photograph. So I made over 10 different series from last 30 years, and I chose different subjects, but there's always similar energy, like a wind series. It's like an echo, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Energy is a very important thing, I think, in this wind series, because, as you said, one cannot see really what happens, but one can feel it. And wind is a energy that initiates an everlasting process of change. So what you see is just temporary, and it can be completely different a few minutes later. And I think that's also something that one can feel that in these photographs. That it's this, it's so quiet, and it's so much space, and it's like this almost like a meditative quietness, but this not really comprehensible thing of changing all the time is always in it as well, as an energy that's transforming everything all the time. But you are both artists who like decide everything in the making of a work. Nowadays, for many artists, I think it's quite in to have lots of assistants, and many artists, they just do like the sketches and the sketchbook, or they draw the plans, or maybe they make one model and then the assistants do the other artworks, etc. I mean, this kind of multiplication is a very common technique nowadays, but one can say that in your work, like every piece is like a unique piece that has been processed and controlled by yourself from the beginning to the end, even if sometimes one needs a helping hand, but what is seen in the end is just your work.
I wish to have more assistants in the studio.
Really?
I don't know. I need some help, but I always have just very limited help. Maybe that I prepare to work, so then I can control. And then having assistant is sometimes just takes another energy. I have to deal with the another person. I have to take care of it, explain. Just being with the other people sometimes does make me feel very comfortable to focus. So, what was the question? Sorry.
The question was, no, it was
yeah.
just, I mean, you already answered that, I mean, you are the one who is just like in charge of the whole process of the birth of a new work. From the beginning, from the moment where you choose the location, you see the situation, you take the picture, to the moment where it appears in the darkroom, it's like all... it's all processed by you. We will come to the working process a little bit later. But now I would just like to go to my third point, and after nature and solitude, I would like to talk about time a little bit. And for this, I would like to quote something that you said, Rune, because I think that's really interesting. You said, I would like to say that I am inspired by the objects I am working on, the place or location I am working at, and the specific time everything is made in. My imagination can just as easily be inspired by global events and politics as it can be inspired by looking at a bird flying across the sky. But I also relate back this inspiration to my artistic development and the real time put into making a work like I do. So here it's like the aspect of time seems to be very important. And your work affords like a long process. So you need, like we say that in German, you need a long breath to accomplish a work. Could you tell us something about that, the importance of time?
Yeah, I can. Time is of the essence, as I also, your quote was so good, so it means like what I'm going to say now. No, but this time is when you do a project, as you see on the wall, you know, that's something that has been in sketchbook for 4 years and under development for 4 years, you know. But At the moment I come out into nature, it's changes, but I kind of have to have a raw sketch to start with. And this sketch is developed, and I just have to add that the sketch is actually in writing. I usually never actually sketch my ideas. I put them down in writing, so the next time I look at them, I see a different picture instead of the same picture again and again. I use my imagination to read the words and create the new picture in the head. In that way, you develop it over time. And then it's, of course, influenced by everything that I read, everything that, or the people I meet, or as I also said, as global events. And this comes even more into play when I'm actually creating it, because in the moment of creation, you know, there is certain things happening around me in this little space, or there is certain things happening around in a more global scale. And this I have to, or I don't have to, but since I'm a news junkie and I like this of following the world around me and being attentive to it, it's something that I actually bring into play. And that can be as easily as just turning two chairs towards each other, you know, just because there has been a certain kind of disagreement, or, you know, and it's in the small details you do this, not in the big scale. But that's also why the details also becomes interesting in the work. Mm-hmm. And that's how actually also time, of course, the present time plays in. Yeah.
Yeah. You also go into long processes, no? When you work like on a series as, for example, Wind, where the pictures are taken in very different places in this world. So you also need a lot of time to go there, to see what's there, to get, I don't know, to perceive if it's the place to take a photograph or not.
Oh yes, physically it takes very long time when I get to the place to photograph, but actually I don't prepare so much, like I don't think of what I want to photograph, or I don't sketch anything. Just what I prepare is to leave all my thoughts out and then bring myself just open mind. That's what I prepared. And then actually the shooting time is so quick. I hardly use the tripod. I can set up the tripod, then it loses the inspiration. So I just shoot few frames, you know, when I see something. So and then I only shoot when it's very clear, and then it's I see that strongly when I don't have any thoughts in my head. So I see things from inside, not from my head. So timing with the camera is really, really short and very easy for me. But the other part, the processing part, is another meditation exercise. It's a long process, and it also teach me great patience and just what can I say? I always don't expect so much when I make a print. Sometimes it can be succeed, or I ruin the print, but there's a very limit I can control for the result. So for over 15, 20 years experience, this long process I think effect on my picture as well in some way. So and another thing, my picture doesn't represent that I don't document of the time and the place. So when you look at my work, you don't know when it was taken, and then you don't have to know where it was taken. So something infinite time, and it's spaceless. So
Thank you very much for joining us to this talk.